Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 69 of Stat Check. This is the World Championships of Warhammer pre-show. A warning for everybody who's here: we are doing a very, very brief show today. This is we're going to be aiming for an hour. We'll see how well we can stick to that. Mostly because my flight's in 4 hours. Not in 4 hours. I leave for my flight in 4 hours. If it was in 4 hours, I would be gone. So we're going to try and keep this tight. We're going to be doing a few brief things. We're going to be talking about the stats. We're going to be talking about worlds, obviously. And then we're going to do the show questions as normal. We've also got an announcement of a new sponsor to make, which we're looking forward to. And I'll make sure that's in the show as well. And then we're going to be finishing up. I'm Menace. I'm joined by Jeremy. Anthony and Nathan are both otherwise indisposed. Anthony is having what I believe might be one of the worst days of his life. And that man's been stabbed. So,
Everyone send all of your positive vibes to Anthony right about now, because I'm pretty sure that he just took every L possible that you could in a day before you leave for a tournament.
Yeah, he's not to like disclose about it stuff. He's been like in surgery today and stuff. Not in like a life bad, but like not in a great way. Just he's been having a rough time, and then his car's battery went dead on the way back from it, and it's like, I'm so sorry, dude. And then he's flying to Atlanta tomorrow. But if he doesn't, I don't have a roommate, which would be really nice for like me having a chill time. So he'll have really bad sleep as well if he's rooming with me as well. So I look forward to it.
Oh, do you
yeah, corn cut up to Anthony. Jeremy, how you doing? How's your last week in 4K been?
It's actually been kind of rough. I got back from, so I wasn't on the show last week because I got back from Saskatoon, and right around the time when we wrapped up the show on that Tuesday, so it was like October 31st, Halloween, I came down real hard with COVID. So I've been nursing the good meds for 2 weeks, and I'm hoping that I have the energy to get through Atlanta this week.
We are all nursing the good meds right now. I got home from Cali Cup, which I'm not going to touch on very much on this episode. I'll try and talk about that next time I'm actually on the show proper. I got home from Cali Cup, spent a day kind of like working, figured out that I had a limp again, which is never great, and then played a couple practice games with Chris Irvine, and then went to bed for 72 hours. Is how it felt like. I didn't get out of bed for 72 hours. I wasn't asleep for 72 hours. That would have been really nice. I slept for maybe like 6 hours of it total, just lying in bed, unable to do anything. It was great. I've never canceled a practice day before, and I had to be like, I'm really sorry, guys, I can't make it. Felt bad. So yeah, it's been for stat
We've
check
all had an interesting couple weeks.
Stat check in sickness and in health, I think, is the current. So it's been an interesting couple weeks, but that is all out of the way now. We are traveling to World Championships, so it's a very exciting time. We got all the groups, we've got all the lists, we've got everything ready to go. Dinosaurs, sorry. Everything else is in the wash because I'm leaving in 4 hours. So yeah, it's a good time to be playing Warhammer right now. But before we get too far into that, shall we very quickly do the weekend stats? I will also say for anybody, the meta report, if anybody's waiting for that, it's probably not happening this month at this rate. Doing it on the flight is going to be a pain in the backside, and it's going to be out of date by the time we get back from Atlanta. I will probably do a special post-Atlanta article and then launch back into it in December. I think that's probably going to be the way that happens. Unfortunately, just with the travel and then the sickness, I've just not had time to get it out this month, unfortunately. Cool, Jeremy, run us through some stats. How's the weekend? I'm going to turn this.
So we had 14 events this weekend. Just shy of 800 players at those events. So it was another very busy weekend, which we've actually been seeing a lot of those lately. I think the quietest weekend we've had since 10th came out was the last weekend in October, where we only had like 300-ish players. But yeah, since then we've been routinely in the 600 to 700 player range. We had the Coventry Super Major, which was a 3-day, 143-person event. The Coventry Major, which was a 2-day event. And then we had 4 other majors and then 7 other GTs. So it was a very busy weekend.
Very quiet.
Yeah, very, very quiet, right? Great way to lead into the World Champs. And yeah, just really, I'm going to snapshot things real quickly. I'm lumping all the Marines together because different Marine factions aren't real. Rounding out our top 5, we have Eldari making up 9.5% of the meta with a 63.2% win rate, 1 event win, 11 top 4s, and a 2.08 over rep. We have CSM making up 6.6% of the meta with a 61.7% win rate, winning 3 events, 8 top 4s, and a 2.16 overrep. Then we have Leagues of Votann making up 5.4% of the meta with a 59.3% win rate, 2 event wins, and 6 top 4s for a 1.97 overrep. And we have Thousand Suns making up 2.5% of the meta with a 57.7% win rate, 2 event wins, and a 1.45 overrep. And rounding out the top 5, we have Death Guard making up 5.1% of the meta with a 53.3% win rate, 2 event wins, and 4 top 4s for an overrep of 1.41.
Do you know what? Death Guard and Thousand Suns, you're doing all right. What the fuck are the rest of you doing? Chill out. Get down from there. There is no need for you to be up that high. Eldar, you've been nerfed like 4 times. Why do you have a 63% win rate? I hope you just need kicked in the shins. Like every unit in your army. Every unit in your army just needs to go up 20%.
I was looking at it the other day, and since Marines came out, Eldar have averaged like a 61 to 62% win rate.
I'm looking forward to the meta watch after Worlds. It's going to be great.
Pain. Rounding out the bottom 5, and I'm going to leave out the actual bottom army because there are only 8 players. It was Genestealer Cults. We have Astra Militarum making up 4.9% of the meta with a 39.7% win rate and 1 top 4 for a 0.36 overrep. We have Adeptus Custodes making up 3.4% of the meta with a 40.8% win rate and no top 4s. We have Imperial Knights making up 1.9% of the meta with a 41% win rate and no top 4s. We have Chaos Demons making up 4.3% of the meta with a 43.3% win rate and no top 4s. And last but not least, we have Tyranids with a 4.3% of the meta, a 43.6% win rate, 1 event win, 2 top 4s for a 0.84 overrep.
Yeah. So remember all those nerfs to Custodes and Imperial Knights that we were like, these might be too far, and then they were like,
do appear to have been just that's ever so slightly too far.
We had those Eldar nerfs that were like, I don't think these are far enough. I think what they should have done is removed fake dice from non-battle line units, like they removed Bondsmen from non-battle line Imperial Knights.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Ow.
That is the level of proportional nerf that I think Eldar still need. Like, the army's just screwed.
I think infantry... infantry only because the Wraith Guard is still good.
Characters. Battle line only.
Yeah. Battle line and care? No, because then you saw the... just battle line, actually. I'm fine with that.
You want fake dice? Use it on your Rangers. I don't care.
And because people always ask, Space Marines, 158 players, making up 20.5% of the meta with a 44.7% win rate. No event wins, 8 top 4s for a 0.7 overrep.
God, Space Marines suck.
Well, see, here's the fun part. Is there are 2 dichotomies of Space Marines right now. There are Black Templars, who made up 3.6% of the meta, so a 1/6 of all Marine players, had a 52.6% win rate, 4 top 4s for an overrep of 1.97. And then you had Dark Angels, who had 32 players, 4.1% of the meta, so a 1/5 of all Marine players, who had a 39.5% win rate and no top 4s. Sorry about that, Anis.
I'm not a Dark Angels player. I'm a Space Marines player. I'd have no particular allegiance.
No, you lost to the 40% win rate faction last weekend.
Yeah, it happens.
Dice happen.
Dice and missions happen, Jeremy.
I don't know what you're talking about. And then, as always, we got to do that middle of the pack. The perfectly balanced faction is Necrons, making up 3.9% of the meta with a 50.6% win rate, 2 top 4s for a 0.92 overrep. And Admech and Sisters are on either side of that with basically the same stats.
Shout out to
Sisters
Vic,
also won an event.
Yeah. Who managed to win.
And that was Vic, who won the 2-day Coventry.
Won Coventry with Sisters. I hear he managed to kill 3 Exorcists in 2 turns with 3 Night Spinners in 2 turns with Exorcists.
I was going to say, was he killing his own Exorcist? That's impressive.
Yeah, I know, right? That's really, to be fair, that's how Sisters felt like they were.
Maybe he needed miracle dice.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, meta's real bad. Still, I don't understand how. It feels like
it was.
It feels like anything can win, but at the end of the day, every game into Eldar is still a fucking chore. CSM are stupid, and Votann get too much stuff.
Yeah, like I will say, out of the 14 events this weekend, they were won by 9 different factions.
Yeah. The meta
So,
is
like,
real healthy at the top
everything
end, but it
can
feels
win,
like
but there is definitely that element of there are some haves and have-nots.
it generally to me feels like the best players can win on any faction right now, but the middle tables,
Yes.
Eldar are crushing everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of
We
how
need
it
to
feels, right?
we need to
Like,
do a bit more of a dive into like the tiers of factions in terms of like where things break down. But yeah, that's pretty close.
yeah,
I want to shout out to the one Death Watch player that went 3-2 with the first company task force, by the way.
champion move, actual hero play. It's good
Oh,
stuff.
and we are once again Imperial Agents guy was back this time. He also played the Coventry 2-day, but he went 2-3 this time.
Did he beat
So,
any Eldar players?
oh, you're gonna make me do this again. All right, let's go find this.
I did find out that he played a friend of mine at the last one and beat him on Eldar. One of my friends is one of the 2 Eldar losses. So, if anybody out there is listening, Mark, that secret tech was really good, wasn't it?
Oh wait, no, that was sorry. I got all excited and then I realized no, that's his first game. Yeah, his first event where he went 3-2. He beat Eldari round 1 and 5 at the LGT. There is the thingy. Yeah, this is not an intuitive thing to grab quickly, so I just gotta
No,
find
BCP
it
is a
manually.
terrible software. It's okay.
Oh, I'm not using BCP. I'm using my thing.
Oh, you're using your thing? Oh, I would have
Yeah.
used BCP.
So, oh god, he played World Leaders 3 times, Marines once, and Thousand Suns once.
And were the wins against the Marines and Thousand Suns?
He beat Iron Storm. He lost. He beat Iron Storm round 1, and then lost to World Eaters, lost to CS, lost to Thousand Suns with Demon Allies. Oh, and that oh god, that World Eater player that he lost to was Rich Butler, who is running World Eaters with Chaos Demons and Chaos Knight allies. If I remember correctly, I think he had Scarbrand. I'd have to go back and double check. It might have just been a Bloodthirster.
And then
he
beat
lost
World Eaters in
to
round 5, I guess.
He lost again to World Eaters in round 4, who had Chaos Knight allies, and then beat World Eaters who had no allies. So clearly,
So
the
let
trick
it
to
be
World
known.
Eaters losing is them having no allies.
Let it be known that nobody beats him 3 times in a row with World Eaters. Honestly, shout out to that guy. He's playing the tournament in a way that I never could, and he's a hero for it.
Yeah. And oh my god, the win against World Eaters was 95-85 round 5 at Coventry. And the loss to World Eaters the round before was 84-88.
A lot of 8s there. That's why
And his round 1 win against Ironstorm was 47-40. We're going to move on from this now.
I love Warhammer. I love Warhammer so much. What a stupid game.
Actually,
Hugo,
take the cake for the most... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, to Hugo. Anthony disproved that. World Eaters definitely can go 3-0, and then 3-0, and then 2-0, in fact.
This is true. Although he went 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He went 3-0 3 times. He did it once for every World Eaters player that couldn't.
By the way, Space Wolves are the most balanced faction. 14 players, 1.8% of the meta. A 49.4% win rate, 1 top 4 for an over-up of 0.98.
Is that because you can balance all the Stormlands players on one hand and all the non-Stormlands players on the other hand, and then you could smush them together and make them go away?
Quite likely. Space Wolves, since release, Stormlance has averaged a 53.4% win rate. And which is actually, wow, that's 41 of the 70 Space Wolf players since the Marine book came out.
Space Wolf players know what they're about, man, and it's drilling buttholes on Thunderwolves.
The next largest is Iron Storm, which has a 53% win rate and 10 players, so 1/7 of the players.
Look, man, Space Wolves love advancing charging. It's in their blood. They simply don't know how to stop themselves. If anybody's particularly worried about Space Wolves, like the Space Wolf matchup tournament, bring a soft rubber bouncy ball and you can just lob it about, and guaranteed you will win that round because the person will be too busy chasing the ball. I despise you. Love you, buddy. When are you flying out to Atlanta? That's the more important question. Anthony is currently driving home from the dentist, I believe. So good luck to him.
All right, that's the weekend in stats. Let's move on to champs. We want to
Let's
quickly go
talk
through the
about World.
groups. We want to talk about the format. What do we want to talk about here?
You talk about the format. You know it better than me. I just know I'm
All
going to
right.
play a bunch of games, and then at the end of 13
Yeah.
games, I'll
Okay.
probably have won it.
The World Champs has two phases to it. The first phase is the group stage, where we have all been randomly seeded into 8 different groups of 22 players each. So there's 176 players in attendance. Those pods were randomly created, but roughly equally distributed by country. So like there's 50 something American players. There's like 7 or 8 Americans, or 6 or 7 Americans in every group. There's 22 Canadians. So there's going to be
2 or 3
Canadians in every group, that kind of thing. And then from there, you're going to play 5 games in your group. So you're basically going to play a GT. The winner of each one of those groups, there will be 8 of them, will then move on to the top bracket champion. I can't remember what they called it. I just remember what they called the lower bracket. Yeah. And then the other 21-ish, depending on how many are left at the after 5, will then play a 3-round GT, essentially bottom cut, where you're going to play the world's bracket. And the winner of that will be 9th in the event. And then the top 8 are going to play a double elimination, which could go as many as 6 games. Which
It's more than that, isn't it? It's like 8 games.
I don't think so. Now you're making me double guess myself.
Because if you lose game 1,
sorry, it's as many as 7 games.
As many as 7, and then you have the redemption final as well. So 8.
No, that includes the redemption final.
Is that including the redemption final?
Yeah. So if by some absolutely horrible bad luck you get into the top bracket, lose your first game, and then just win from then on out, you will end up having played 12 games of Warhammer in 4 days.
And you're going to have a lot of bonus ELO.
Yeah, you will have, because the ELO rating in this weekend is absolutely stacked.
Yeah.
Like your typical average ELO at an event is like
1550,
1520 to 1530. Like a high skill event is like 1580 to 1600. Of course, I went through this. The average ELO at this event is 1720. And if we take out the 10 people that are currently unranked, it's actually 1730. So if your ELO is currently below 1730, you are below average for this group.
And what if we normalize everybody that we think is really good to 2000?
Silence you.
Sorry, that's an in-joke. I apologize.
No, it's gonna be wild. Do we want to talk quickly?
I will say, if anybody wants like a more comprehensive rundown on like who's in what groups and all that kind of thing, there are 2 videos on Art of War, one with Quentin and Jack Harpster, and one with Nick, where they run through, like, you can see on screen our stat check graphics for every pod, who's in it, what their ELO is, what faction they're playing, what country they're from, all that kind of thing. And they go through all of them, and they go through some of the top lists from every event. So I would highly recommend you go and check out those videos. They're much more comprehensive than what we're going to be able to do on our time frame, and also what we have the mental bandwidth to do just like before the event. But do go and check it out. It's super cool. They did a really good job of like highlighting some of the best players in each group. Shall we talk about what we're taking and what's in our pod that we're worried about? I think that's probably the most interesting aspect of this.
You want to talk about your group real quick?
Sure. So I am in group 1, and I don't have it to hand. But the main highlights of my group are John Lennon, who's playing Ultramarines. We have Josh Roberts, who's playing fairly standard like Triple Night Spinner Eldar. I think my favorite stat that's come out the weekend is somebody in the Pointy Ears channel in Discord said that the average for American players is like 1.6 Night Spinners, and the average for European players is like 2.4 Night Spinners. 83% of American players, 83% of UK players and Euro players have Foigan and Viancarn, and it's like 20 or 30% for both of them for American players. Like, some wild stats. It's very funny. Very, very different approaches.
There are 270 Wraithguard in attendance.
Yep, more Wraithguard than people. It is what it is.
Other note, you have
Khazra or whatever.
You also have Raven from Spain in there.
Yep, Raven from Team Spain. There's Devin Swan from Team Canada. Matt Laura, who was an LVO finalist. Kit Smith Hannah. There's a Benjamin Chai guy from Singapore, which is super cool. He's the
Mhm.
other LR player in my pod. My pod is also notable for having all three of the event's Terrada players, all three of the event's Deathwatch players, and all of the event's not Death Guard, Drukhari.
You have
All
you
three
have
events
both
Drukhari players.
Drukhari and both Deathwatch players,
And
and all three
there
tier new
are
players in your group.
no CSM.
Like, what is this?
Random. So yeah, I was saying that me, Kit, and John, who all played like the Leviathan Tyranids or Leviathan and Kraken and such Tyranids last edition, got locked in the Tyranid bracket, like atone for your sins.
Yeah. You also have one of the 2 demon players, and you have one of no, there's 5 of them. But yeah, it's just like these pods were random. Like, these pods, we were told, were created before lists were even submitted.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's entirely variance and it's super cool. But like for me, it's between me, Josh, and John for getting out, I think, is what I would like to think. But we'll see what
there
happens.
is if we presume that ELO is predicting of outcomes and all that, there is quite the gulf between the 3 of you and then Raven, who I might pump up there, but they're also
He's
playing
playing
Necrons,
Necrons, yeah,
so
so I have a little bit of a. I'm confident that he could take a game off of anyone, but am I confident he could go 5-0 in that bracket? No, not with
yeah.
Necrons. But hey, maybe there's a ton of potential for upsets in here, and that's probably the most important thing to specify for these. When we say that, it's not being disrespectful; it's being optimistic. There are 22 players in every single one of these pods who deserves to be there. Plus one Ayer. Sorry, Ayer, you were in chat. I had to. There is absolutely a chance that anybody in any of these brackets could take it out because everybody deserves to be there. Everybody submitted a list that hopefully that they're happy with, and it has a fighting chance against anyone. But you got to back yourself, right? And you got to back the other people that you know and the other people that you trust, right? So I think it'll be great, but I still pretty confident. I'll run through my list super quickly. I am playing Blood Angels Ironstorm Spearhead. I have got Lamarques. I have the Sanguinor. I have Tech Marine with the target augury web that gives the lethal hits aura. I have 3 Whirlwinds, 3 squads of 3 Inceptors, 2 Ball Predators with the Flamestorm cannons. I have 5 Scouts, 10 Death Company with Parafist and Inferno Pistols, and 2 Stormhawk Interceptors. I will not elaborate further. Please do not ask. My favorite thing has been the reaction to these planes. It's been so good. The entire every corner of the internet where it's being discussed is like, I don't understand these either, but it's great. Oh, it's so much fun. How about yourself, Jeremy? How's your pod looking?
My pod, it feels like a little bit of death, to be honest. So
And I'm in pod 1. Sorry, before we move on too far.
You're in group 1. I'm in group 7. In my group is Arn from Team Germany, Brian, formerly of Team Scotland, Alex Petford, I believe Team England at one point.
Yep.
Or still, I don't actually know. And then Zach Como, my resident guard expert and pain in my rear from just general taking wins off of me. And then after that, starts to kind of fall off, but it's still fairly highly weighted. And then I'm down at like 7th in my pod in terms of rankings. I also have in my pod Toroxer El Rojo from Spain. I have Olivier Weiss from France. And then I also have Manuel Biel Wischorek, I think. Weiskoric. I don't actually know how to say his last name, who's representing Germany. It is going to be a wild group. I'm bringing my Votan, similar to the list that I've been playing for the last couple months. 2x10 Hearthguard, one with Plasma, one with Volkite, a unit of Thunderkin with an Iron Master, 2 Calls, both of them with the Gauntlet and Volkite, one of them with Long List, one of them with Appraising Glare, 5 Sagittars, 30 Warriors with all the free shit you can take now, and then 2 units of Pioneers. It's a pretty fun list. It's done well for me so far.
Yeah, you've been playing it a bunch, right? So
yeah, this will be my 4th tournament in 6 weeks with them, 5 weeks with them.
Round 1's gonna be my 3rd game.
Yeah, we had a practice game here in Ottawa. We had 9 of the people that are going to be attending from Canada in a whole. Just basically throw down on GW layouts because a lot of them hadn't experienced them before. So that was a lot of fun.
They are a trip, are they not?
I decided to show them what round 1 looked like on layout 4. If people want to go look at what layout 4 looks like, round 1 is Dawn.
We deployed Hammer and Anvil on layout 2. It is the saddest thing. There's a sight line from deployment zone to deployment zone on either side of 2 horizontal ruins. It
Yep.
is phenomenally cursed. I'm
Yep.
just like, that's just a bombing run.
Yep. No, there's definitely it from a local meta that is used to playing almost exclusively on WTC layouts. It was a trip for the 9 of us to just go through and go, huh, I should have brought more guns.
Hey,
And
guess
yes,
what I brought?
Dan Johnson, why would you put that list out there in the wilderness? Be fair, I don't have a single dedicated melee unit. Everything in my list has guns, so
That's true. My particular favorite was one of the discords we're in after putting the playlist in the world. I saw a few Eldar players being like, I'm looking at Crimson Hunters. I'm like, what have we started? This is not good. We shouldn't have done this.
be fair, it all started with the Void Raven bombers.
Yeah, but the Void Raven Bomber was like a rapid ingress abuser. It wasn't like it's not like a shoot. It's not the same. It doesn't
It's a
work.
decent shooting profile.
It
Like
is, but it's not.
the reason that it started was Ridvan picked it up because he got fed up with Desolators early on in 10th, and he was like, "This thing goes in my list so that I rapid ingress it on turn 2 and just nuke the Desolators off the board, so I stop losing all my backline to them."
Yeah, it's
And
not.
he had it in
Not
his list until we switched him to Necrons for WTC.
So
Actually, I think
yeah,
he
you
had
got
2 in
plane
his
in your
list.
list. Give it a shot, guys. Planes are back. I promise. It's a plane meta. Everybody loves a plane meta. You remember how towering was really fun to play against? Um,
And GW
what
boards do
if
love
it was
towering.
back?
Yeah, and then this is also when I realized that I still had 1 call left to paint, so this idiot had to go
Nice.
through and get a paint job.
Well, I have 9 Death Company with phantom chainswords that have definitely got Inferno pistols on them, and 1 guy with an Inferno pistol. In case anybody asks if I have Inferno pistols, and I can show them that guy. Be like, yeah, look.
Free war
It'll be
gear is free
fine.
war gear.
Exactly. They don't have anything else, and they have a power fist. I figured that was close enough.
Yeah,
Nasas all have bolt pistols, so I'm at least not doing that.
Yeah, the Blood Angels players all have a varying level of I'm WYSIWYG or just get over it.
And my Lamartis is WYSIWYG because he's in Lamartis. I'm like bloody Nasas. And Nassim and I tested the list
I
together
think
to play identical lists.
2 of you Blood Angel players are running Lamartis, but without actually running Lamartis model.
I have Lamartis.
Yeah,
I have the real model.
I think
And the real Sangrador.
Mikey and Nas both are using
Not
proxy
Mikey
conversion
is choosing
counts as.
the generic regular chaplain, and I despise it.
Ooh, that's
Brian,
a choice.
Judge, we're gonna call a judge about your 28mm bases. All right, we're gonna have a conversation about 28s that should be 25s.
Brian not on the right base size?
Well, for this one, I have no idea because he's borrowing his army. But for all of his Eldar play for a long time, he's not been on the right bases. So
You better check all those Rubiks. Make sure they're all on 32s.
Make sure they've all got the right war gear. I want to see war flamers and everybody, no bolters mixed in.
Because that's a bolter, right? No, that's a flamer. That's a bolter, right? No, that's a flamer. What's a flamer look like again?
What's a bolter look like? If you can't show me one to prove that it's not different.
Yeah. I mean, the whole reason that this idiot ended up getting painted up was I had a beautifully converted call that I had ran at LVO that I realized didn't have a gauntlet. He had a big ass axe. And I was like, all right, if anyone gets mad, I'll have him.
Quentin's borrowing Brian's Fuigan. Oh, Quentin, you get it, Judge Gall, brother. Sorry, pal. That guy's on a 32, not a 25. Why is he not made of metal that's older than me?
Yeah, I was gonna say Fuigan comes on a 25 now, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Brian's is converted.
It's Vic's army, so it's all correct. At least it's not David's, I guess.
Love you, David does not deserve that shot. The level of shade he gets for that. Right. What are some other interesting lists from Worlds? Because there were definitely some other standouts.
Yeah,
I will say for me, the 3 highlight stories were obviously mine and Nas's list.
Yep.
Jack Harpster's it's total. Mom said we have chosen at home.
God, that's so beautiful.
That's Joe Wilson's Deathwatch army name, but it works much better for Jack's because it's the same thing.
Damn it, Brian. All right, for the podcast listeners, Brian Seep has just thrown David under the bus by saying that he couldn't borrow Dave's army because all his flamers are bolters.
I told you. Every Thousands List player, their flamers are bolters. None of them have flamers.
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't believe it's not chosen. The
There's
Black
actually 2 people
Templars
running that list.
Yeah, it's him and Kyle McCord, I want to say. That sounds right.
I believe so.
I think they're in the same group as well. It's quite funny.
Well, the best part about it is that it's actually the exact same list, word
point
for
for
word,
point.
including the top
The title.
text,
Great, for goodness
because
sake.
it actually
Nas and
says,
I at least changed ours.
yeah, it actually says Jack's list.
So yeah, that list is super cool. It's playing like Sword Brethren with like buffed up captains in Gladius. So it's got like the Honor Vehement captain with the power sword. So he goes in, gets devastating wounds, goes up to like strength, or a power fist goes up to like strength 10, AP 3, damage 3 with 10 attacks, devastating wounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's super interesting, like Hellwrecked on top of that. And then a Land Raider full of the standard like Gladius Harmist
Yeah.
aggressor
And
combo.
Jack and Kyle are
It's
both
very
in group
interesting.
2, which is kind of the group of death, I think.
I think 8's probably the group of death, but group 2 has definitely got some top end players in it as
Well,
well.
I mean, group 2's average elo is 1775, group 8's is 1755.
I think group 8 has a more condensed top end where I'm like, there's like 6 people I could see getting out of this, whereas group 2 is like, I think, a race between Jack and Nassim. But I could definitely see arguments otherwise.
Maybe. Like, even the top 4 and top 8 for 2 and 8 are higher than 2 than 8. So,
Sure, just going off of like gut feel more than like actual elo,
yeah.
though, right? Because there's always a feelies or realies in situations like this. When you look at a group that has like Fred, Liam, Ben Sherwin, a few other people like that, right? Like it's hard to be like, I feel like that group's not going to be an absolute knife fest. Like there's like 4 or 5
Yeah.
people, whereas in all of the other ones, I feel like there's a clear cut 1, 2, 3 where you'd like expect a few people to get out. Whereas that one, I'm like,
I mean, group 2 is Nassim, Jack, Yokel, Matthias from Germany, who I could all see walking out of there.
I would be surprised if it wasn't Jack or Nas, but
it's probably going to be Jack or Nas. I want it to be Jack, but that's also because I want both of you to not do well with those planes, so I don't see them at my next event.
25%. Can you imagine 25% of the?
I mean, I do have at least 2 new in box sitting somewhere in my pile. So,
and then the other super interesting list is obviously Liam VSLs. I think is the other highlight of the tournament in terms of like somebody doing something that nobody expected. Liam VSL is playing the Brigands and Plagueburst Crawlers AP spam Death Guard list that's using to use like against Boil Blight, the ignore cover and get +1 to hit and all that stratagem with some of these contagion range, with the safe stacking debuff, with Brigands firing like AP3 assault cannon shots and AP6 Melta and just rinsing through armies with like bullet drones pushing at you. Very, 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 very powerful army. It's got a lot of vehicles that are quite hard to kill. Toughest 10 with an invulnerable save. Like it's the right kind of profile to start scamming people while also having like Plague Marine backed melee on a player like Liam. Like it's gonna be good. I am very much expecting that to come out on top of that group, but I could definitely see it going down. Just Liam showing that he's a little too cute. But that boy does not lose games of Warhammer. I think I can't remember him losing a game of Warhammer in a tournament in about 3 months of like fairly regular event play.
I mean, he just won Coventry back to back, right?
He won like 3 team events and like he went 5-0 with like 100 point scores at like 2 or 3 Polish team events. Plus
the man is on an absolute tear right now.
Like the last time I remember him losing the game was him playing. I don't even know if he lost the game at WTC. Maybe he lost one.
I think so. Did he play War Masters? I can't remember.
He didn't play War Masters, I don't think.
Okay.
So he might have dropped a game at WTC, but I'm not even convinced about that. The last one I like definitively remember him losing was the Pirate O'Brien, where he had the previous round had fallen through a table and like then got 20-0 by Eldar. And it's like, all right, man, I get it. So that's the last time I remember him losing a game, and that was in June. So
yeah, the man has very much embraced 10th edition and done some truly terrible things to people with it.
He's really good at 40k.
He is.
Keeps 20-0 in Eldar, man. I really don't get it. I'm like, what are they doing? How are they getting 20'd? But
I mean, I just want to kind of. Well, at least he's not on CSM this time.
At least he's not in my pod.
that as well.
It's actually.
Also, thank you, Brian, for taking T-Sense, not Eldar.
Brian says my mom still tells the neighbors about that win. I will say there's one super weird aspect of this tournament that's been almost like I feel detached from a lot of the players at it, which is a super weird thing to think about. Like once I got my pod, I really haven't read a lot of lists. Like, there's a lot of players going to the event that I just kind of haven't really looked at that are like, if I was in a GT with them, I would 100% have read their list because it's a player who I respect and I would have done some detail. But in this one, I very much feel like I am isolated in my own little bubble, and I only really have to hear about these people. There's a very, very low likelihood, more than there would be in a normal tournament, that I pair into any individual person, because I'm going to play 5 games against people in my pod, and then at most, like, one person from 3 other pods, unless I hit top cut, right? It's just very, very unlikely that I have to care about 90% of the people at this tournament, which I think is a little bit of a shame almost, or it's just kind of, oh, so there's a bunch of people I'm just never gonna, I don't really have a chance to interact with unless they win their pod. Like, there's a bunch of people I would love to get a game with. I just probably won't get the opportunity. But also, I have a much higher likelihood of getting to play someone like Lennon, who I've never played before.
To be fair, cool. There is a fair amount of downtime if you do certain paths. So I could definitely see there being pickup games played in between.
Could you imagine? You're in top cut, you're like you're waiting on the down game, and you're like, does anybody want to pick up games so I can stay hyped?
Well, because that's the thing. If you win your 3 games on the Saturday and you're in top bracket, you get a bye on the next 2 rounds. You don't play round 4 on the Saturday, which is big because that is exhausting. Everyone who's 2-1 has to play that round. And then the Sunday morning round, you also don't have to play.
Yep. Could you imagine trying to organize a pickup game during round 4, Jeremy? I really just don't feel like that's a thing that's going to happen.
No, but Sunday morning I could see happening.
People will be playing. That's when I guess that's
when the winners of the 2-1
but what's the World's bracket doing at that time? Are they 2 games, 1 game, or 3 games Saturday? Right, that's the bit I'm not sold on.
Yeah, the schedule is a lovely, I will say, for running these 2 things concurrently, they have done a really good job of organizing this. The pack,
it's really clear. I just haven't read the losers bracket version. I only read the winners cut stuff.
I was reading through it because I think the losers, you play 2 and then 1, so it's not really that big of a deal. All right, schedule. All right. Pool play day 2, championship round 1, 2, 3. That's championship. Where's my group play? There it is. Okay. So, I remember this now. So if you make top bracket, your round 1 is at 8 a.m. on Saturday.
Yep.
And you have 3-hour rounds with an hour between each round, going all the way until midnight if you play the death match.
Classic. Good shit. Love it.
Although they do say by design, only 2 players are going to complete in the death match.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah,
I thought the World's bracket was like 2 games Saturday, 1 game Sunday, but it might just be.
It is. Yeah. The World bracket round 1 is at 10 a.m. So you actually get to sleep in if you don't make top bracket.
Yeah.
They call it the championship bracket. That's what they call the top one. And then you have an hour break, and then from 2 to 7 is World round 2. So
5-hour rounds?
Sorry, 2 to 5. 2 to 5.
I was trying to say that's a long.
They flipped a couple of times between 12-hour and 24-hour clock, and I've been doing that today. So I read 17 as 7. But yeah, so like after 5, you can go to dinner and then come back, and round 3 and 4 are still going on for the championship bracket. You could feasibly do a pickup game then.
Look, if you are trying to organize a pickup game at that point, I applaud you, and couldn't be me. I will be attempting to get my medical exemption if I've not won all my games at that point.
Yeah, and someone did point out that the way that because of how the double limb works, so you would play championship 1, 2, and 3. You would not play 4. You would not play 5. You would then play 6, and if you win that, the event is over. But if you lose that, then you play round 7. Yep. And you immediately rematch into the person that just beat you.
Yep. It'll be fine.
It's going to be a fun event. There's only going to be 8 people that have to deal with the ridiculous schedule. The other 168 of us.
There's only 2 people that have to deal with. There's only 1 person that has to deal with the evil schedule, and that's only if you come up with the redemption bracket. So
that's true, actually. Yeah. If you make top 8, don't lose round 1 of the championship bracket.
Here's some advice: don't lose. Come on, what are you doing?
I'll play a pickup game with you, Seth, unless I'm in top bracket, which isn't going to happen.
Jeremy, who's in your group? Who's Brian and Arna? They're both Thousand Sons players. Get them carded.
Oh, Arn's playing triple night spinner.
But he is a Thousand Sons player, which means it's in his blood.
True. I could just ask him how he counts his Cabal points. I heard that works really well.
Goodness sake. We're going to descend into memes and jokes very quickly on this again.
All right.
Shall
we go to questions?
I'm going to run the one new plug that we have, and then I'll run the actual plugs. Let me grab the code. I think it's just StatCheck5. StatCheck5 is right, though, right? So we are now sponsored by Wayland Yutani, who are the guys that provide the terrain for the WTC. So if anybody is interested in getting some of the WTC flatback terrain, they've got things like the GW layouts and all that kind of stuff, as well as the new the base versions and all that kind of stuff. You can go to wayland-yutani.com, I want to say. I'm going to Google that because I hate myself, and I'm going to do that live on air. Why did I not prep
this? Wayland-Yutani-Inc.com.
Wayland-Yutani-Inc.com. If you use code StatCheck5 at checkout, you'll get 5% off on your order, and we also get a little bit of a kickback with that. There is now a little bit of a link in the chat, and it'll be in the show notes now. So massive thank you to Ishik for reaching out to us to organize this. So if you're interested in getting terrain or anything like that, you can get it done with like club logos and all that kind of stuff. Do check it out. They're a super big help for, getting terrain up and running. They do a bunch of terrain for tournaments in the UK. I know a lot of the Northern Worlds ones use them and stuff like that. So that's something that interests you, to reach out to them. They're a big help. You can also get objective markers and stuff like that done with them. They're more they're not like neoprene ones, but they're like the disc ones that are a little more solid. So if that's something you prefer, that's something you can reach out to. So yeah, do check that out. Massive shout out again to Ishik for reaching out. Yeah. As far as the other plugs go, I don't know. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say the train's amazing. I played on it, and we're in the middle of doing a big order for it for our local events.
It's so great. I love being able to as a TO, just have my own bag of a big tub of terrain that sits 20 tables that I can just chuck in the back of a car and just drive and set up an extra 20 tables at my tournament if I need it, or being able to collapse it down at the end of the tournament and store it in nowhere. It's really super helpful.
Yeah, I think 100 tables fits in a pickup truck, a large pickup truck, but 100 tables fits close to that, and it's just okay, it's so much easier than the full MDF tables we've been working with.
Yeah, and I mean playing on MDF is great, but it does have its travel and transport limitations. If you're trying to do venues on you're changing venues and stuff like that constantly, the flatback terrain is an absolute godsend. Mm-hmm. Right, other sponsors. Red-Dragon.ca for all of your various hobbying needs. If you need to get access to be able to basically anything in 40k, or Magic, or board games, and a bunch of other stuff like that, or you want StatCheck apparel, or dice and objection markers and all that kind of stuff, Red-Dragon.ca. Use the code in our Patreon for a 20%
discount off the entire store.
Yeah, which is fantastic. That's not a super common thing in North America, as I'm given to understand, and it's becoming less and less common in the UK. So do give it a consideration. They are a massive, massive help of the show. I'm pretty sure they're going to be helping us out with sponsorship for our for what's it called now? Championship Cup.
Yeah, FLG's Championship Cup. They're sponsoring us. They're also they're also sending a team, a Red Dragon team there as well. So
yeah, so it's going to be super awesome.
At least 2 of the teams at FLG's Championship Cup, maybe more.
Hell yeah. So if you're interested, reach out to them and maybe see if you can work something out with them. Saltar Games, check them out on Etsy. Just search Saltar Games on Etsy. You'll see what you get, all of our tokens and measuring gauges, deep strike gauges, and all that kind of stuff. I'm bringing a bunch of that stuff out again to Atlanta. I had a bunch of it at Cali Cup that I'll be handing out to anybody who comes and says hi. So come and say hi. I've got some of that to give away. That's Saltar Games on Etsy. Other things to plug: youtube.com/statcheck, patreon.com/statcheck. $5 a month gets you access to our Discord community, which is one of the best communities I've ever been a part of. If you're interested in getting in some really good level TTS games, competing in our TTS league with $1,000 Canadian in prizes, just interacting with some of the best people in the world about basically anything you want to, whether that's 40k, life, 3D printing, all that kind of thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful community resource, and I'm super happy to be part of it and to have been part of the cause of it, because it's one of the nicest things to have as a little bit of a legacy in 40k, is a community as good as that. Yeah, we have other shows as well. That's probably the last real thing. End of the Matrix and XM1. I think this week's an End of the Matrix week. XM1 took a break last week because Tim and Cliff forgot. I wish I was kidding. Genuinely, just neither of them realized it was an XM1 week, so it didn't happen. And then stat-check.com/coaching if you're interested in getting help from myself or Tyvis. We'd love to help you out. I've got a client in my pod at Atlanta, which is a terrifying endeavor, because if I lose to him, I look like an idiot, and if I beat him, I look like a monster. So just
put him in the ground. He deserves to be there.
I know, but
You know the
I'll do
story
it
of how he
anyway.
got there too.
I actually don't think I do, but that's fine.
I'll tell you
Um,
afterwards. I'm not going to shame him online.
That's entirely fair. With that, all that said, thank you so much, everyone, for being with us. You guys are the ultimate thank you, the ultimate sponsor. The guys who sit here and watch us every week and who interact in the chat and who subscribe to the videos and do all the interaction stuff. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting and making us feel like we're speaking to people and not just each other in a weird like we don't know each other well enough to be FaceTiming each other. So we really do need to chat here to like really keep this going. So thank you everybody for being here. We're gonna run into show questions before I have to fall asleep or pack my army. Oh my god, I need to
All
pack
right.
my army.
All right. I'll kick him off for us. All right. Preston asks, Jeremy, how old did you feel when you saw Quentin as 22? Not as bad as when Francois realized that he could basically be his father and it not be an awkward age. That was beautiful. All right.
I'm starting to feel old in a 40k context at 27, and I don't like it very much. I'm like, I was the young guy. Now I'm just a guy.
All right. I'm going to speed run this question. Logan asks, what is your favorite character in lore from Xenos? Innis.
Swarmlord.
Oh, yeah, okay. Easy one there.
I like the time that the Avatar tried to challenge him to a duel, and the Swarmlord went, nah, fuck that, and threw Carnifexes at him. That was cool, and it sold me on Tyranids.
Okay, that's great. That is such a hive mind thing to do.
He was like, I'm not fighting that guy. Carnifexes.
Surprise pocket sand, but it's Carnifexes.
Exactly. What about you?
Probably Eldrad. But that's just because he's a boss man who's been around for God knows how long.
Where's the goddamn mute button?
I have the power. Anyways, yeah. Okay, this is a follow-up one, and you're going to get sad at this one. How well does their lore translate to the tabletop?
Really well in 8th edition.
And now?
Not so much.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have dev wounds, man. If he had dev wounds, I'd be cool with him. But it's just like...
He's Twin Link, though, isn't he?
Yeah, on his AP 2 damage 3 weapon. For anyone listening again, Archon Rahal says the one time they had the Avatar job out and nobody felt weak was the dozen surprise Carnifexes.
Jesus. All right. Who do you think is going to be world championship, and which countries do you think are going to podium in the end in the country competition? Oh, we should cover this real quick for anyone who's listening who is not aware. One of the other things that is also coming into factor in this event is that every single player can earn points towards their country's standing based on things like winning the event, getting best overall, winning best in faction, paint scores at certain tiers as well. So there's a somewhat not... some countries are taking it more seriously than others, but there is a big push for like across the 4 systems that are being played to see which country ends up on the top of it. It'd be interesting. For me, who will be the world champ? I just want it to be Liam because it would be absolutely epic for him to win LGT, Coventry, and then the world champs back to back to back.
You've not done the thing. Everybody's been doing the thing where whenever anyone talks about who they think is going to win Group 8, they just say Liam to double your odds. It's the smart thing you could have done.
No.
You should have done
Play
it.
Necrons. He's going to lose.
I know, but it would be funny.
Or he's going to emergency disembark 6 inches when he can.
I think England or the USA will win just by virtue of player count. Canada will do terribly. France will do better. Will punch up.
I mean, we already have one guaranteed best in faction.
Great. So does Hungary. Good luck.
Yeah, but they only have one player.
So that means you can win in all categories. Joe, if Matty wins it solo for Hungary, hero.
God, that would be... All right.
Brian and I are doing it for Scotland. That's the real punch up.
Oh, no one told you that Brian is now American, right?
Brian qualified as part of Team Scotland, so he submitted for Team Scotland.
All right.
That's what it is.
What's the first army that clicked for you competitively and why?
White Scars and Knights, weirdly. It was the first list that I took, and I was like, oh, this is an actual competitive list that I have designed, and it worked well, and it did its job. And I went 5-1 with it the first event I played with it, and it took me a while to replicate that success again with something else.
Are you still playing that army?
No. You can catch me dead playing Knights nowadays.
Yeah, but you still have the White Scars.
Yeah, but I'm not really playing grav bikes anymore, so
Fair, given that
it
all
was
of them got legends.
for context, it was like 3 big knights and then 2 librarians with grav gun with attached to a command squad with storm shields and grav cannons or grav guns, and they just drove about ignoring cover and shooting their guns at things so that they could clean up and score, and then like 3 squads of scouts. So let's not pretend it was like a White Scars army, or it was knights with an invisible Death Star.
Fair enough. Yeah, for me it was my AdMech in just shortly after the 9th edition Codex came out. Yes, I still technically play that army, but I haven't played a game with that army in almost 2 years now.
Yeah, but how many of the new Sicarian long leg dudes are you buying?
3, because I can only run 3.
Exactly. But there might be two out. There might be 2 loadouts. There might be 2 options. You can run 6.
Oh, they might have, because the data sheet count for the AdMech Codex didn't make sense, so maybe there is an extra one in there. So maybe 6.
Maybe they've got an
I just
alternate
want to
loadout.
see
It's
if
just
when you
it's a guy on stilts with giant swords.
God, that'd be hilarious.
I want it so
All
bad.
I want to see is if the guy on legs does the same thing that the Triumph does when you put it down, where this thing just bounces back and forth for half an hour.
Remind me to wobble my Celeste in front of you sometime, just like the little whip, and just goes. It goes. I was terrifying everyone at Cali Cup
Because it just flexes and never breaks, and they get
Yep.
terrified. All right.
Skitarian long leg sounds like a type of spider. Yep.
Yeah. All right. 2 Nurgling questions since Will list last week. If you were armed with a cricket bat and were attacked by a never-ending swarm of Nurglings, mysteriously one at a time, how many could you defeat?
No more than 7. I have weak and flabby arms.
Yeah. It depends on how frequently they come. Like, are we talking 1 a minute, 1 a second?
I assume it's just like once
1
you
until
beat
it just
one.
dies,
Yeah,
and then the
once
next
you
one
beat
shows up?
one, like the next one just shows up, right? You get
Yeah,
one
if there's
boost
no
of ring.
downtime, maybe like 10. After that, it's probably going to get pretty tired. It also depends on how long it takes to like actually bash to death a Nurgling. Does it just bounce a few times?
Well, it's gonna take at least
Like, I'm just a human, so I'm only strength 3, so I'm wounding it on 3s?
4s.
The T2, aren't they?
No.
They're T3?
Yeah, T3, 4 wounds with the 6 of vulnerable save.
There's no way they're T3. I'm mad.
They're like strength 2, but they're T3.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, they are
They're
T3.
strength 2 lethal hits. It's not a great profile.
It is very funny to take wounds off of things with Nurglings, though, with that
Yes,
profile.
it is. I have definitely done non-zero amounts of damage to things with Nurglings.
Yeah. And then the second one is, if you had to hide a well-behaved Nurgling in your house, how would you do it? I'd probably put it next to one of the cat vomits that just occurred. Get cleaned up and then move around.
I don't have an answer. My house is too nice for that, for an Nurgling to survive. Maybe like somewhere near where Fergus has been.
Yeah, I was gonna say somewhere where Fergus has been is probably your best bet.
Yeah, I could probably hide it in like one of the like toy cat, like the like 40K things in my cupboard, like in the garage. Just be like, hey, go in one of those boxes. No one will ever find you.
All right. Another Nurgling question. How many bites of Nurgling-sized David Gaylord omelets can you fit in your mouth?
None, not a one. Unfortunately, I'm too inept.
Because I'm pretty sure Nurgling's like this big, or like this big.
I don't know. I imagine them being like baby
No way I could
sized.
fit that in my mouth.
They're like baby sized, right? Like the same size as like they're like the same size as like an armorium cherub, right?
I was
Because
gonna
you've
say
got the ones that are like
cherub.
flying off of like the ones flying off of Mori are like what I'm thinking of. Like they're the same size as like
Yeah, I can't fit one of those.
Small baby.
And that much egg? Ugh. All right. What's the best let him cook list of the world champs?
Mine.
I would say Hoopers.
I've not read Hoopers. Oh, is that the Double Lord of Skulls? I remember hearing about that. I don't feel like that man should have been let near a kitchen, but sure. He's got the cleavers for meat chopping, but that's not really cooking.
All right. I'm just starting Grey Knights after hearing Anthony rightly explain that Marines is a subscription service and my wallet can't keep up. Any recommendations on list elements you'd suggest or stay away from?
Yeah, grab 3 librarians, like 20 to 30 Terminators, 10 to 15 Strike Marines, and build some of them so that they can be purifiers, and Crow, and then like a Calidus Assassin, and you'll basically be able to make whatever you want out of Grey Knights. Magnetize the arms. Don't hate yourself. You'll want it in the future.
And maybe pick up an Anniversary as well.
Yeah, maybe grab an Anniversary. Consider consider getting more strikes if that's like they come in boxes of 10.
Yeah,
And
so like
they're like 2012 GW models, so they're like reasonably priced by comparison. So you can
and
probably
but
pick
they're
up
old enough that they're young enough that they're still nice sculpts.
and like grab like one Dread Knight just to have it because it's a cool model and you'll want one. You could put it on the table and realize why nobody runs them.
Yeah. Okay. Templars are quickly re-establishing themselves as the best way to play Marines, yet their, in my opinion, best unit Sword Brethren are somewhat low on representation of top lists within the Templar attachment, with people instead gravitating towards massive Crusader blobs. Do you think a Sword Brethren heavy list could do well in the right hands, or is there something about the 20-man brick that I'm missing? Because I thought unit is good with Grimaldus, but why not put Grimaldus with more Sword Bros?
The broad problem with Sword Brethren, and not to discount them at all, because there are a bunch of people running them this weekend. There's a few lists with like 30 of them. There's like Jax's with 15. Sword Brethren do not have an invulnerable save and do not natively advance in charge. They hit pretty hard, but they are very fragile on the way through. The big Crusader squads benefit a lot more from the multiplicity of buffs available in Black Templars. Things like the 6-up Feel No Pain go a lot further across 20 models for the same price as 10 models. You also have things like lethal hits access, crit 5s access, lots of sustained hits, +1 strength. All of that is better on more volume. If you're playing more of a like MSU Black Templars list, something more like Jax Gladius, it makes sense to play Sword Brethren because you need more unit-based damage output. But when you're trying to play buff damage output, it makes more sense to have a big squad so that they can take some damage on the way in, tank some things, take an Overwatch, still deliver like the juicy characters and get the board control. You're paying a lot in that army as well for just the sheer amount of OC that you gain access to. But I don't think it's an and or thing. You can run both. There are definitely lists out there playing like Helbrecht and 10 Sword Brother and a Land Raider that does very much the same thing, while being a little easier to deliver in some contexts and a little harder in others.
Yeah, that makes sense. Bonus question: anyone not eat turkey on Thanksgiving? Ham gang rise up. Do they do Thanksgiving on the other side of the pond?
No,
I don't think so. We had our Thanksgiving weeks ago, so
I'm pretty sure Thanksgiving is for like. Is it not like something to do with like American culture? And
it varies.
It's like
Canada has their own origin of it. Ours is technically older, but they basically have the same thing. It's harvest. It's a harvest festival. That's what it is.
It's like we don't really have a harvest festival in the US, in the UK. It's not really a thing.
I guess you guys don't grow
like you kind of have like
or
like an
anything
actual
worth celebrating.
You might have like an actual like start of autumn. You might do like a church service kind of thing with like a horde of plenty and all that kind of thing with like a cornucopia, but it's not really like a set holiday, I don't think.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, no. We usually do turkey, but we've definitely done ham. The reality is that we always want gravy for potatoes, so gotta make
We do gammon at Christmas nowadays. We don't even really do turkey there.
Makes sense.
I'm not a big fan of turkey. Neither's my sister. My dad's a vegetarian, so it's pretty easy to argue for the gammon.
That makes perfect sense. All right. Autark Ben asks, we recently discovered Innes loves Butterfingers. What candy bars do the hosts crave? If they could change something about it, what would they change? I think, we already know what Innes wants. As many Butterfingers as his body can sustain, and maybe then some more to send home with him.
It was, I ate a lot of Butterfingers when I was in the US.
I'm pretty sure that Ben is already is bringing like 20 to Atlanta for you.
I'm slightly worried. Yeah, I'm definitely going on a diet when I get back.
You're just going to find one at each one of your tables each round.
Do you know what? It's better than the alternative, which is the ice game. So
true. All right, my network is frying up, so I apologize if my audio is getting a little weird. Yeah, for me, it's Coffee Crisp.
You're so old.
I am. But it's delicious. It's a nice late snack. All right. Bread-based stuffing for Thanksgiving? I mean, isn't most stuffing bread-based? I don't actually know.
Can't relate, sorry.
The one that I have is usually bread-based, so yes. All right. Neil Kerr asks, list from Atlanta you think is the most interesting or innovative?
We kind of ran through those already with Jack and Liam VSLs being the two like real standouts. I think John Lennon's Vanguard list is also super interesting, playing with like the up and down on the Centurions.
Gnarly to play into.
It's very much like a modern, a more like, I think that's just a meta space running list that people haven't caught on to yet more than anything else.
Although I will say it pains me to see Centurion Devastators doing well again.
It's my favorite.
Just makes me angry.
Centurion Devastator, Grav Cannon Centurion Devastators are like all I played for 7th edition. Like for the entirety of 7th edition, I played 5 Grav Cannon
Yeah,
Centurion
I'm just having
Devastators.
flashbacks to Raven Guard ones in 8th.
Yeah, no, that's 100% a different thing. Like fuck that sideways. But
all right, and then a more interesting one: fantasy pick Neil Kerr again for top non-English speaking nation player.
Liam VSL.
Yeah, I guess that does count.
He's Belgian.
Fair.
Liam VSL, Olivia Weiss,
Arn
Arna Taroxar, Caillou
Yokel.
from Caillou, David Gaylord. He's New Zealand. It doesn't count. Nassim is from Algeria.
He does need to form Team Algeria soon.
He does. Also, I read his interview with Goonhammer. The boy can't spell for shit, so he's clearly not English.
I'm loving those interviews because there was no editorial work done on them.
No,
and so
and like
it's perfect because it is exactly as those people speak in real life.
It's Nassim's raw stream of consciousness. There's like 7 words in each of his answers. It's great.
And he doesn't finish any of those thoughts. All right. Sam Lemon asks, how do you feel about there being no announced big prizes or prize money announced for the World Champs of Warhammer? Most top-level competitions this side would often have a prize pool of sorts, especially when hosted by the game designers.
We didn't have to pay for tickets, and I'm going to call that a win because that would have been like 200 quid extra that I really did not feel like paying. If there's no prize pool for it, then whatever. I really don't care. It's not about the prizes. It would be cool if it came with like an all expenses for next year, right? That would be the only thing that would be like.
I could see them doing that, given that every U.S. Open came like winner and best overall.
Like random Warhammer World GTs had it, so yeah, I would hope so. But
yeah.
I don't know. I just want to win it. I can win it this year and not have to worry about it.
Like the reality is that you would really have to reach far for a prize to be worth the trip for most of us.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if you got like an army to take back with you or whatever, right? But nobody's doing it for the prize at this level.
Yeah, we're doing it very much for the bragging rights than anything else.
Yeah,
because this is the first of its kind as well. Well, that too. Yeah, this is just something to do while I was waiting for the next DLC to come out.
Yeah, exactly. This is just something to do between snap dailies.
All right. Jason Seibel asks, if you could add one model with the rules you thought would most benefit your currently played army, what would it be? Like World Eaters would kill for a loan up, for example. What would its special ability be? Innisko.
Well, so I was gonna immediately snap off with I'd put the Yinkarn in Tyranids, but I'd have to be able to kill units to do that. So so I wouldn't bother.
Exactly. You can fire 9 Biovores indirect and kill like a guardsman.
Sure, man. For the low price of 675 points, you two can fire 9 Biovores at somebody. What would I add? I would not hate access to something like the Rhino in Tyranids. Just give me a transport, dude. Just one.
You have the Tyrannocyte.
No, it's not a transport. There's a drop pod. You can't even get out of it in charge.
Oh.
Right?
Forgot about that.
Altark Wheel Leaper in Tyranids would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just like there are not
have enough loan ops in Tyranids.
Yeah, but you don't have a lot of loan ops with a Meltagun.
True.
It's the only unit in the army that can kill a transport.
Yeah, but you'd be hitting on 4s, so
give me the Night Spinner Tyranids. We'll make it work.
That might actually suit them better than Votan could use a loan up of any kind. And honestly, at this point, I just want more range to it. Give us big head.
Beam plane.
Yeah, beams don't exist anymore. But yeah, give me a plane that has nothing but conversion weapons on it so that I can fly within 12 inches of someone and just trigger crit hits on everything with sustained D3.
Warp spiders and world eaters. That's what they need.
They need shooting, yes. Sure.
No, just 24-inch move idiots to screen and move block and stop them running backwards from you.
Ooh. Give jackals the warp spider ability.
Jackals with jetpacks that are just like 24-inch move, but they can't charge. They're too confused.
That sounds like more of an orc move than anything else. All right. What makes a great burger, and what makes it terrible? Toppings, always.
Not having any onion in the patty. Fuck onion in burgers.
Onions on top,
Nope.
yes.
Nope. Fuck onion.
Especially like a nice red onion.
If I bite into my burger and it's crispy, I do not like. I do not want anything in
Not
there
put bacon
beside.
on your burger?
No, I don't want it to be like. I don't want to bite. That's not the word
You
I
don't
mean.
want
I don't want
crunch?
like the vegetable crunch inside, like inside the patty. No, thank you.
I guess.
Not here for that. Nope.
Yeah, and then we've got
There's so many
I don't know,
questions.
makes it
Nearly close to
terrible
this
when
fucking
the
hour
patty's
again.
dry. All right, next question. Let's go through these quickly. We've got like 6 more. What's been your greatest win and what was the best lesson you learned in defeat? Greatest win for me would probably be I think it would have been the first time that I beat Chris Haynes in a GT. Because he was always the person that was kicking my ass. And when I beat him in a GT, I knew that I had finally like broken through that that kind of glass ceiling on that. Biggest lesson in defeat for me was, and this remains true to the day, is recognize that I had put too much value in winning that game and became too emotionally invested in it, which then impacted my ability to play it well.
That's fair and good answers. I'm gonna have much more blasé ones because I do not remember enough of my games to like really go into them and be like, "Hey, what was my biggest win?" I've had a lot of very high impact games over the years. It's a side effect of playing a bunch of WTCs and War Masters and LGTs and singles events. You know, winning a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably a game that I could point to be like that was the moment that people started taking me seriously, like internationally. That's probably the one that was like the most on a trajectory that put me the most on a trajectory to be where I am today. But it would be hard to identify that specific game. But somewhere around like 2018 and 2019, that game happened, and people stopped looking at me as just like another person that played in the UK as one of the better players in the UK, and that's probably the one that was like the most impactful for me personally. As far as losses, the most important lesson is to recognize that it doesn't really matter what happened. There was always something you could have done differently. It's just recognizing where that something you could have done differently is. And sometimes that where you could have done differently is I could have submitted a different list. Sometimes it's I could have made a different decision on the table. Sometimes it's I should have gone to bed earlier. But there's always a decision point that you made that resulted in something happening in that game that's beyond your control. Because at some point you had control at some point in that game and you lost it at some point, and you can lose it when you rock up to the tournament and you didn't sleep enough, you didn't test your list enough, right? That's entirely possibly a loss condition that doesn't appear on the table and doesn't show up in your win rate stats. Yeah, I think that's an important lesson to learn is that you can lose a game through no fault of your own, except everything you did.
It is possible to play the perfect game and still lose.
Exactly. Like I showed up and play. So the one that I will use as an example for that is my LGT 2020 something game 5. So it was 8th edition. I was playing Ash Loftus in the last round. I was playing like my Space Marines list that was like designed to have a puncher chance into AdMech. I could rip 4 planes out of the sky turn 1. Blah 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 blah. And I went second in diagonal in chorus deployment and got trapped in my deployment zone and killed all the planes turn 1, and it didn't matter because I didn't score any points. And do you know what? Do you know what the failure was? It wasn't that I went second or blah blah blah, because I couldn't have done anything differently on the table, right? That was committed. Is that I didn't submit AdMech, right? If I'd submitted AdMech, then I would have been fine, but I didn't, and that's my fault. Now, was that a fault that I'm willing to change? No, but that's me saying, hey, that's a thing that was inside my control that I decided that I wasn't willing to change, and therefore I lost because of it, and that's fine. It's completely okay to play a game like that and lose because you made a choice.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And the only thing you can really do is be comfortable with the choices. Be comfortable with the percentage points that you're willing to leave on a table. If you're going to go out drinking the night before a tournament, you're leaving percentage points on the table. You just are. And if that's percentage points you're comfortable leaving on the table, that's fine. But just own it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's also a big thing is that, and this is more of a longer.
Oh my gosh!
I know, Ash.
Congrats on the win this weekend, Ash. Well done.
Hell yeah! There was the Stonehammer or Gravel GT, I think it was called.
Yep, the Gravel Pit GT by Stonehammer.
That's what it was. I knew it was a Stonehammer event. I just couldn't remember who. All right, so
Man,
I'm going on to the next question. Innes, are you going to be bringing an emotional support Von Innes Leaper model with you?
No, I don't have any painted.
Oh, someone needs to fix that. Someone bring a painted Von Innes Ryan Leaper for him.
Yeah, but if you bring one, I'm taking it home with me. Like I
No,
can't
I'll pay
promise
for it.
it.
Will you take pictures of it at all the places you go to visit and eat if we do give it to you?
If somebody gives me a Von Ryansliefer to take and to have and to hold, then I will take it to every tournament I go to for the next 2 years and take a picture with it in the many exotic locations I go to.
Yeah. Then the next question is, with this being a Shark Tank, what are your goals for the event?
To win.
I guess that works.
I why would I'm not coming in with any other goal. Like anything else less than that is a failure. I am comfortable with failing in this situation. I do not need to be perfect, but less than winning is a failure. That's what we're
Makes
coming
sense.
to the tournament for. This tournament is it's going to be worth F all for ITC points because it's only 170 players. It's going to be worth the ELO is cool, but ELO is ephemeral. It's worth bragging rights, and that means the bragging rights are the only thing worth playing for, and that's first place.
Fair. No, that all makes sense. Yeah, for me, like my goal is best in faction foe 10 because I think that that's doable. Past that, I mean, winning my group would be amazing, but that is definitely a stretch goal for me. Coming out of the event positive would be really nice. And yeah,
Evader, you can't clip me when I'm being honest. That's just rude. I will be
rude
comfortable with
indeed.
failing. That's fine. If I go 4-4, whatever, right? It's a tough tournament, but less than winning is a failure.
If you're not first, you're last.
Exactly. I'll be incredibly proud of myself with a second place or a 7th place or a 12th place. It's a really tough field, but we're going for 1.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Brendan asks, any chance we get a Space Marine win rate deep dive with all the various detachments and chapter combinations? There's still not enough data points to draw any concurrent information from. We can. We're not going to do it this week. We might do it next week or the week afterwards, or maybe a couple weeks later.
It's definitely not going to be next week. Next week's going to be Atlanta. So
yeah, that's true. We might not do a show next Tuesday.
I might still be in the air. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we'll do it after we've had like a month or two of Marine data. So probably getting close to like the end of December. With Atlanta being a Shark Tank, we'll be visiting the World Class Aquarium to wonder at the whale sharks.
no, okay. Ethan was talking about the Leaper. He wasn't being. Ethan was talking about the Leaper. He wasn't just being mean. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Cam,
if I have time, I'll visit the aquarium. I want to visit the Coca-Cola World thing, but I don't know if I'll have time.
That does sound pretty cool, but again, like finding time when I'm there is rough.
Exactly.
Cam asks, can we get neon green stat check dice? I crave neon green dice. We may have ordered. I know we ordered green dice. We may have ordered neon green.
We ordered green. We had definitely got pink. I remember that.
Yeah, we needed to get pink for Anthony's Emperor's Children Army.
Oh, I just wanted pink dice. Pink dice are my favorite. I love pink dice.
Yeah. But... Oh, and by the way, anyone who's at the champs, come and find me. I've got red dragon dice that I need to get rid of. Dan gave me a stack of 100, and I already had like 100, so I'll just throw them at all my opponents. Tricky Nick asks, Jeremy, how do you think GW balance CSM? Points probably, because that tends to be the lever they pull on most frequently.
Make Profane Zeal not be a battle tactic.
Make Profane Zeal not a battle tactic. Make it 2 CP.
I think just not a battle tactic is fine to start. I would also up the points on Forge Fiends just in general. Like I think if you're going to hit both, don't hit like all 3 sides of that. And then I would probably make Dark Obscuration 18 inches rather than 12.
Ooh. Yeah, I can see that working.
It gives us some counterplay, but it lets it handle the
it still makes it work
shooting. Yeah, it still handles across board shooting, which is what it's there for. But it gives it a lot more counterplay, like a lot more manageable.
Yeah, you don't have to get within scary close, just danger close range to shoot it. Yeah,
I'd probably also. I don't think you should, but you could probably also stop mix marking on rhinos.
I wouldn't do that. I think that's
I wouldn't either, but I think you could.
Yeah. All I ask is Marine Space CSM players actually mark their rhinos. So I know which one, or not the rhinos, but their Force Fiends, because everyone always runs an Undivided and a Nurgle one.
No, one of mine's green and one of mine's white, so it's
that is easy. But when they're both the exact same color, and I have to be please remember to put the token with the Nurgle one. Anyways, that's another thing. And then Autok Ben asks, how do you two feel about our vibe check pairings? I honestly, Liam and I were supposed to play last night, and I forgot. because I've been so frazzled over getting ready and also just still recovering from COVID. So that's where we're at.
So we're gonna take a bunch of 10-10s that round.
Probably, yeah.
Like we're all
We
in
might
Atlanta.
play. I don't know. Maybe we'll throw down in Atlanta, and
If you
that'll
play
be
in
the
Atlanta,
score.
you could get the result. Yeah.
Yeah, even though he's playing a different army, but who cares? Because it's still a game.
Is it a different group?
Yeah, he's in a different group, so we'd meet either in Worlds or in the top bracket.
Exactly.
Be a great game. All right, that is all the questions we have here. I'm going to very quickly scan through the questions from YouTube. If you have any questions that you want to get in now.
Am I going to be allowed on the plane? I have asthma. I'm really sorry. It's just a pain in the ass. It's flaring up a little bit at the moment. Sorry.
Yeah.
Does Anthony's World Eaters list have a chance to like Jack's PT? Yes, because Anthony's an incredible Warhammer player. He will find the line. I also think that the matchup into Jack's, like Jack's only got like 4. Jack's list deploys 4 transports and 3 squads of scouts. He's got to get out of it at some point. And he's only really got 2 squads of inceptors. Like he's got to get out of those transports. And World Eaters are pretty good at can opening them before they manage. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a pretty tough matchup for both sides. Hey, well, pleasure seeing you. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, I think that's everything. If I missed anything, repost it. You have about 60 seconds.
Ultramarine players should have oath tokens. Yeah, probably. I have a little frowny face.
All Marine players should have oath tokens.
I have a little like wooden frowny face that Nassim gave me at LGT. I never failed to kill my oath target with that token on.
I love that. Yeah,
planes,
like I use poker chips for sticky objectives for Votan. And then I have both my oath token or my grudge tokens, and then I have special grudge tokens for the ruthless efficiency.
Tokens.
Ooh, I'm sure that he already makes it. AJ, do you already make those? I know you're watching right now.
Anyway, I have a bunch of Battleshock tokens to give away at LGT as well.
I am going to grab some of those from you, and I'm going to grab at least one of the new Deep Strike markers because and I'm going to give someone my clear one because I lose it every game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to give you my black one because I think I gave all the black ones away at Atlanta, but I'll give you my black one, and I'll get another one off of AJ.
There you go. That works.
Right. I think that's all we've got. We ran 20 minutes over, but we always knew that was going to happen. That's why I said an hour because I definitely meant 90 minutes.
Yep.
I hope everybody has had a wonderful time. If you're at a tournament this weekend, very best of luck. If you're at a tournament last weekend, congratulations on the performance. I hope it was everything you wanted. I'm probably not going to be on next week. If I win, I'll maybe try to sneak it up and try and stay up long enough to get on because I think it'll be funny. Otherwise, I'll catch you in a couple of weeks. Everybody else will catch you when we get here. We may not have an episode next week. We may hand the reins off to like the end of the Matrix or X1 team and be like, hey, come and do a main show episode. Come and be real boys. See if they can do our job. I'm willing to bet they would do a wonderful job, but it would be funny to see them do it. Otherwise, have a great time. Jeremy, any closing words?
Bye-bye.